This is his faith for this, bro. I guess she wanted to play, in favor of authority, I guess, and because he was a veteran, I guess he has the most say of it. Like, that's not. I don't know, man. Oh, let's see, Wacko.
Thank you.
Okay.
Readjust this.
So now we've established that people.
You're saying we have the Wacko mind saying here we have had consolidation of power for thousands of years. That is why these people talk down on each other. Meaning each other, you mean like between Andrew and lady here, the Olive here, Naima. I don't know, man. You have to be more clear.
Can very much be stupid. So
nobody ever disputed you can have stupid people in the army.
okay, so again, we're trying to go
My
back.
question,
we're trying to figure out
so
how
let's see
your
if we
system
can.
would work in terms of those who are participating in some sort of civil service.
Yeah, so you would have some type of civil service, right, which a person would participate in for at least 5 years.
5 years?
Yes, unpaid.
5?
Yes, unpaid.
That's ridiculous.
Why? Do you think that the person who participated in it for 5 years unpaid would really want to be politically informed by the end of that?
I was about to say it, though.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
but that's 5 years of not having... Like, that's 5 years of, like, housing is paid for,
service guarantees citizenship.
So can I ask who's paying for 5 years of millions of people participating in a civil...
Well, chances would be pretty good it wouldn't be millions, or at least not hundreds of millions of people participating in such a system.
So
It'd be
you
a
would
very
like to
low
limit the
demographic.
voting block in this country to less than... There's 430 million people in this country, and you'd like to limit it to less than...
330 million.
Hundreds of millions?
It's 330 million in the United States.
36.
I think 336 million or something.
Regardless, you would still like to limit it to... I misspoke, my bad. But you
Yeah.
would still like to limit it to less than... You would like to limit it to hundreds of thousands of people?
Yeah.
You think it's fair for hundreds of thousands of people to speak on behalf of 360 million people?
Do you think it's fair right now to have 100 senators do that?
Oh, I see.
No, but we still vote for the senators.
Yeah,
we
I
vote
know,
for
but
the senators,
do you really
though.
think you're getting...
They don't just walk up and say, hello, sir, I would
do you
like to
think
be a
you're
senator."
really
Like,
getting
you're voting.
Wait, you think you're really getting political representation inside of a state like New York with 2 people?
I don't live in New York.
I know, but inside the state of New York, do you really...
conscious of dissonance right there, guys.
I don't live in New York. Though.
I know, but inside the state of New York, do you really think the state of New York is getting adequate political representation on Capitol Hill with 2 fucking people?
Well, that's why you have the Senate and the House, and the House.
2 people who are your senator. You really think
every
that
state gets 2 senators?
100 people are representing 330 million people? At the very top, it's one person who's representing 330 million people's
So are you
interests.
advocating that we shouldn't have government?
No, what I'm saying to you is that, like,
That's
it's very
prescriptive. That's
silly
not what
for
he's
me
saying.
to look at an argument like you're making and say, oh my God, 100,000 people are going to be in charge, or 200,000 people are going to be in charge. Like, ultimately, one person's in charge.
So you're saying
ultimately one person's in charge.
But there's still checks and balances. That one person isn't a king.
There still would be checks and balances with limited voting. There's still checks and balances with limited voting.
Yeah, but we still do not get to decide who is in our legislature. As a voting body, we do not get to decide who is in the
You would
legislature.
still have people from within your various communities who would be voters, and they would decide who it is that went to represent you on Capitol Hill.
That sounds very expensive and very pointless, if I'm being honest.
How is that expensive? Okay, fine.
Because you have to pay for all their housing.
Then if you want to do that, there's another way you could do this too. If you didn't want to do like the civil service way, you could do
great point. Hey, great point, Johnny. Great point. What she did there was to try to get a viral clip for her YouTube channel. And as a feminist, she needed a man to try to defend her. I agree. What they wanted was Andrew to say, I didn't serve, and attack that. Yeah. Appealing to authority. That's what she wanted to do. Yeah, it didn't. And then the boyfriend came up kind of weak. I'm like, bro, okay, you don't have to be here, man. We don't care about your opinion, I guess. You served. Thank you so much for the service, but we are here for the arguments. And then he started asking questions to try to qualify Andrew. And Andrew cut off to it.
Per household, that would limit the voting significantly. Hang on.
Okay.
And it would be not expensive at all.
Oh, I see. People are Wacko, you're saying that people are literally able to talk down to each other in condescending ways because of the right to free speech and enshrined in many constitutions around the world.
Okay.
Well, not around the world, because the concept of freedom of speech as raw as possible only exists in the United States. Although some other countries have a similar approach to it. Because at the end, it's come down to enforcement. A lot of these places, they have their constitution as the freedom of speech, some of their articles and amendments, but the enforcement is totally different. It's not even close. In Europe, it's not even called freedom of speech. It's called freedom of expression. And supposedly freedom of expression, you cannot even do the mustache, the mustache guy salute, and you can't even say NAZI even.
Another way that you can do it on top of that.
Alrighty.
Right? But let's just start with like one household voting. Okay. Same thing.
Let's do it.
You can eliminate whatever this like perceived cost is that you have. Another thing you could do is just eliminate anybody being able to vote until they reach the same age that they could become president of the United States.
Is that not 35? Mm-hmm. So you think that everyone under 35 should lose the right to vote?
Why shouldn't everyone under 35
be able to 35, for me, that's a little too much, guys. 35 is, I don't know about that one, guys. Let me know.
To be the president of the United States.
Well, because they don't have but they're still...
Why? Answer the question.
Because they do not yet have the experience in politics to
He has a good point, but I don't know about that one, guys.
Exactly.
Okay, Andrew, but just because you can't run an entire country doesn't mean that you should still not have the right to have one singular vote. It's one vote.
What are you talking about?
Yes, you can't be the president, but you are still susceptible to the laws. You can have a kid at 35. You can have a house at 35.
I don't know what that means, guys.
What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, but you can't be president.
Below
can't be
35,
president, yeah.
Legislatively, below 35, from 18 to 34, all of these people are impacted at the same level.
No, they're not all impacted at the same level. In fact, I would say...
Can they all go to jail for committing a crime?
Yeah, so I would say the opposite.
Yes, they're
I would say like people between the ages of 18 and like 25 are mostly living at home, right? And their parents are the ones who are mostly impacted by legislation, not them. And
That's
their
not
parents...
a skill issue.
And their parents should actually probably have more say than them. Their parents actually have more autonomy than they do because they're dependents on them, right? Completely dependent upon them. It's like, if I look at the trends, it seems to me like if you eliminated from 18 to 25 or from 25 to 35, if the founders didn't think you should be president of the United States till you were 35, I don't think they wanted you to vote either. And you know what? That's why it was never law. Voting rights are affirmed.
This is some old shit.
That's not an argument. That's not an argument.
Well, I mean, the reason why
give me the argument
is because you're young, you're old. Like, you are not applicable to this law.
What did that have to do with anything?
You're trying to govern a group of people that you are not a member of.
So?
That's the issue.
So what?
Everyone should be representative government.
So how old do you think the average person who's in Congress is?
Hella old.
And yeah, she's not even believing what she's saying, guys.
They're representing all of you. What do you mean?
And I hate that.
So you think that like 19-year-olds are going to be better governing than 60-year-olds?
No, but I don't think an 80-year-old would be a representative government.
Yeah, but
Mitch McConnell
80-year-olds are dying in their depends. They're not governing. What do you mean?
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Joe.
Sleepy Joe, who is in his 80s, now has cancer, and he's not president because he went off the deep end.
I know. And Trump is in his 70s, and Mitch McConnell is in his 80s.
Listen,
all of these people are hella old.
Your presidents and congressmen are running like between the late 40s to 50s to 60s. You don't really think that replacing them with 20-year-olds is a good idea, do we?
I don't think we should replace them with 20-year-olds, but
why not?
I'd settle for
why not? Wait, why
40.
not? Why not?
Well, they'd have to be elected first. No?
Yeah, I know, but even if they were, don't you think that would still probably not be the worst, or that wouldn't be a good idea?
If they were elected through a democratic representative democracy.
Don't you think they would do a worse job, though, than 40, 50, 60-year-olds would?
Well, we don't know who it is. You can't just say universally, I think a 20-year-old would be worse if they are elected democratically.
Well, why do you think our founders thought?
So you're saying, Jumbo, you're saying I'm in Ireland, and America's the only country that has real freedom of speech. I will pray to Republican Democrat to always defend that regardless if you take offense to something said. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, we are the only guys. We're the only place that this thing is gone. It's gone, guys. We are the only place, man, that we have that as raw as possible. See, raw as possible. Freedom of speech in America is the most free speech you will get, just to put it like that. I don't think there's another country, even Canada, which is our neighbors. They don't even have one close. The government, I mean, we know what happened to the Canadians with the truckers and all that stuff. Ed, you're saying that she's talking past him because she won't accept the notion that people subject to law shouldn't be liable. That's stupid. Like, it's a stupid argument. Let me see. We fought and died for them rights. We have fought and died for them rights all our existence. I don't expect that to ever change. I just wish we have better representation of our morals and value instead of bare trans. Okay, I'm not gonna read that. Well, the thing is that you're right? But at the same time, certain rights are not really rights, right? Certain rights are more privileges. The concept of voting, it's just a mere privilege, guys. The thing is that a right will be like personal defense, property, the protection of private property, right? Speech. Those are the closest thing that you can get to the concept of right. Are those things, guys? I do believe that we should have a better representation, but I don't think it's gonna happen, guys, unless we move forward to move some of these laws. If we want things to change around us, we have to be more proactive. And that means that we have to change law. We have to vote accordingly.
That 35 years old was the minimum.
I think the founders thought 35 should be the minimum because you need experience in government to be the head of the government.
No experience in government is even required to become the president of the United States. Zero.
Yep.
Sure.
That's Donald Trump.
Why this age of 35?
Well, because you have to have lived in this country for long enough to understand it on a basic level.
Because they also thought you just didn't have the requisite experience probably in life to govern at all.
That's fair. To govern the entire country, I would say that.
To govern anybody?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
Why is it that they didn't let people vote? Why do you think they didn't want people to vote?
I mean, dude, they were kind of fucked up. I mean, do you really want to
that's
base
not
all
an
your
argument,
beliefs
guys.
on the founding fathers? They owned slaves. Like,
So?
Yeah, that's not an
So-
argument.
The whole world owned slaves.
just because a lot of people do something doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah, we were some of the first to take people out of slavery, especially the West.
Pretty sure that was England. France did it second.
The West, then? That's the West. England.
That's not America.
That's
Oh
the
my
West,
God,
which is
bro,
what I
this
said,
is
the
crazy.
West.
You said we were the first as in America.
The
no?
West.
She's not understanding the concept of the West, guys. I'm telling you. Again, young folks talking about grown folks topics. This is a good example right
Is
here.
what I said.
I
The
mean, I don't
West.
think we're the same country as England. Sure, we're like
Yeah,
all
but
in
we're
the
part
same
of the
hemisphere.
West, right?
Yeah,
Like
but
England.
We are not run by the same government as England.
Yeah,
We
but
fought a whole war
we're
about
part
it.
of the West, and I said the
God.
West is the ones who.
You can't
took
take
us-
credit for something another country did, dog.
Well,
What?
first of all, many of the people who came here from England, right? The idea of the repudiation of slavery came from those very same dogmas.
What time
so,
is it, Brian?
so I don't know what you're talking
We're
about.
at 4:30. at the
We're at
moment.
4. Okay, dude, you've just spent the last hour trying to defend the belief that both sexes should be somehow disenfranchised from voting. This whole one per household, the one marriage system.
You see, she's still mentioning the one marriage system. She's just still going back to that. Like, she wants to control the conversation.
And I think fundamentally, you have not been able to create an appeal to
Why
how
are we
this
in
would
like
work
closing
practically.
statements here?
Well, because we're supposed to be debating feminism. We never even got to it.
Well, this would be a key component to this, actually. But I'm actually fine with this if you want to move it on to that. Like, but
I
here's
mean,
the thing:
if
you
you wanna
never
keep
made
doing
a
it, we
single
can.
argument.
The argument is that people should be legislatively represented and allowed to vote.
Yeah,
in a
that's an
representative
assertion.
Democracy.
That's just an assertion, not an argument. That's just like, I think so.
The argument is if people are impacted by the laws that
Okay.
legislators create, then they should have a say in who those legislators are.
Yeah, but you.
It was the Dutch that normalized the slave trade in the West. I didn't know that. Really? I thought it was the Irish guys. The Irish, the English, of course, but the Dutch, I didn't know that. Although we have a lot of Dutch heritage in the United States, from New York all the way down to Tennessee. So that's kind of interesting.
Whether it's a small say,
But that's a
okay.
performative contradiction because you said that people who are affected by laws who A, don't live here, or B, are younger than a certain threshold should be
It's not a performative
disenfranchised.
contradiction. It's the point of democracy.
No, it's
is
listen.
that we should be represented by a representative
I
government.
need you to understand this logically.
She's not
that
understanding
you're
the
performing a
conversation,
It
guys.
doesn't make sense
contradiction.
logically because it's a logical fallacy. You were arguing a logical fallacy.
No, what's the fallacy?
The fallacy is that you're trying to essentially stop stupid people from voting by
That's
making
not
sure
a
that less
fallacy.
people
That's
can
not a
vote.
logical fallacy.
Well, you didn't let me finish the sentence.
Okay.
You're trying to stop stupid
All
people
right.
from voting by making it so that
All
less
right.
people
All
can
right.
vote, which is in turn taking away the power of the voter.
What's the fallacy?
Well, you're trying to empower voters by taking away voters'
Yeah, how
power.
is